Hello, right, this is the second attempt at this video because the first one was I rambled on more than fucking usual. So what's happening? The new year has been a bit of a non-starter. We've moved the office around. You won't be able to tell from this angle, but in the old office, I used to be on that wall, and that used to be here, and now my wife's desk is there. Seen the cake? Yeah. That, and that is my good lady. Eating shit in front of me, the cow lad. Uh, all right, yeah, I had a bit as well. Supposed to get new computers on Friday. They did arrive, but one screen had dead pixels and the other screen was smashed to pieces, and now the supplier is fucking about. One has been collected to be replaced. The other one, they are, for some reason, arguing about it. It sounds like they're going to try and say that we smashed it, even though we opened it while we were on the phone to the company talking about the first screen that wasn't working correctly. But anyway, we will see what happens. Got into a bit of a fight with my insurers. Now, my insurers are LV, London Victoria. Now, they've been absolutely brilliant all through the accident. Can't fault them. When I got my new car, which was I've now got a new motor, I bought a Merc last week. Yes, it's incredibly feminine. It's convertible, but it was a good deal. It's better on fuel, it's cheaper on insurance, it's a smaller car to run, and it was a one lady owner, full service history, 30,000 miles from new, and it was cheap. That's why I bought it. I'm not overly enamored with it. It's okay, but the downy roofy flappy top thing, I'll probably really enjoy coming to nice weather if we ever get in it. Anyway, and yesterday I was that wanker that drives around with the top down when it's -6 with his hoodie on because I wanted to. Anyway, obviously, now the BM used to have no claims, but I put another car because I've got like a multi-car policy, so I can have more than one car on it. I put another car on it, and I moved the 2 years no claims onto the new car. Just before, about 2 weeks before I crashed it, actually. So it was a bit of a saving grace that the crash hasn't cost me 2 years no claims. But the insurance company claimed I hadn't done it. Got into a bit of an argument with them, and they claimed to have listened to the recordings and said there was no conversation. I told them there was, and that if they forwarded me the recordings, I would listen to them, I would find the conversation, and then they could pay me for the time that I took to find it. So they said this wasn't a problem, and a manager would get back in touch with me in 2 or 3 days, which they did, and spoke to me yesterday, and lo and behold, they have found the recording where I stipulate to move the no claims. So they have reinstated the no claims on the other vehicle. They have compensated me for £30, and they have also applied 2 years no claim to the Mercedes as well. So now I currently have 2 years no claims on both vehicles on that policy. Now my wife's car is up for renewal on the 23rd. That was with a different company, but I've moved it across. And that has 2 years no claims, but in my name, because it was originally insured in my name, because when we first got the car, she was learning to drive. So I haven't used that yet. So come renewal in October, they're going to give my wife a full year's no claims, even though she's only been on the policy 8 months, 9 months, whatever it is. And obviously the other two, if I don't have any bumps in the meantime, are going to both go up to 3 years. And I've got 2 years sat on a certificate that I can apply to one of those two cars as well. So it all worked out pretty good in the end. As I said, because of the computers, we haven't really managed to move the business forward the way we were hoping to at the beginning of the year. We have instructed a graphic artist that we use to revamp the company logo. We want something a bit more corporate. So that's in process. Things are brutal. Oh, and I am really blind. If I take my glasses off, I can't see the computer screen, which is only 24 inches away from me. Brutal Muscle is slowly growing, and we've got some plans to do some training seminars with Luke Sandow and Josh Malley when they get chance. Luke's out in Florida at the moment, and Josh is absolutely stacked with clients, but we're going to jack something up and get something done there. Also looking to probably do a seminar at Muscleworks in Orpington. And so we'll get some more content up in there over the next week or two as well. So that's slowly growing. Put a video up there last week about growth hormone and insulin use. I have a little bit different standpoint to most people, and I was expecting actually quite a lot of negative feedback from what I was saying. Surprisingly, how many people, and Luke Sando being one of them, and a couple of other big guys, have actually turned around and gone, you know what, I agree. It goes against the grain of like JP and a lot of what the others are saying, but that'll be interesting. Youth Revisited, who I consult with, also now have Dr. Dean Martin with them, who works with JP, I believe. And they're now gone mobile as well, so you can now get a phlebotomist to come to you and do your blood sample wherever you are with Youth Revisited, which is quite a step forward. And for those of you that are PTs, they're doing a commission scheme for PTs that refer people to them for testing. So you could offer it as part of your PT services, that you can arrange blood testing. If you work out of a gym, you could potentially get a day where the phlebotomist comes down and does everybody's samples in that one day, and you will earn commission off the tests that they do. So if anyone's interested, check out Youth Revisited at youthrevisited.co.uk. I know this sounds a bit like an advertisement, but you know what? That's pretty good shit, to be fair. You know, one of the big issues with Medichecks, and I like Medichecks and I support Medichecks a great deal, and I think they're a good company, and I like their ethos, and I like the people that own it and run it. They are really nice people. But they're reliant on the postal service, and unfortunately bloods can get contaminated in the postal service, and there can be all sorts of issues. This way you're getting your blood drawn by a professional. Now Medichecks offer the same thing where you have to attend one of their centres, which isn't terrible, but for a PT to be able to get phlebotomists to come to their gym and get all their clients tested at the same time and earn a commission of it, that's pretty smart thinking, to be fair. So definitely worth checking out if you're PT and you're looking for a little bit of a revenue stream that you haven't tapped into that's freely there for you. What else we got going on? As I said, the corporate stuff's delayed because of the computers. Oh yeah, that bloody huge report I'm doing. We're at something like 33,000 words or something, and it's just getting bigger. But I'm praying I get it rattled off by Monday, or at least the base meat of it, and then I'll just have to read through and finalise a few bits and fluff it up a bit. I'll be glad to get rid of that, and we're going to be having serious words about paying me more money than what we quoted, and they did a fast one on me. Otherwise, everything seems pretty normal. Started doing cardio. 15 minutes a day, not a big deal, I know. Basically, the idea is that because I hate cardio and it bores me stupid, I've stuck to 15 minutes, which is a time slot I can bear, and I'm just increasing the intensity a little bit every time. So at the moment, it's just treadmill, and all I'm doing at the moment is the last 5 minutes have been quite intense, quite fast, quite high incline. Now it's gone up to 6 minutes, the last 6 minutes, and then it'll go 7, 8, 9, 10. And once I get to the full 15, then I'll just go back to the beginning and increase the intensity again and bring it back down. I don't like it. It was particularly taxing after legs today, but it was something. Squatting. Had a little bit of a setback last week with squatting. My knee flared on squats. And I'd only just got back up to using an empty bar. This is how long this injury is causing me a problem. Oh, because I slipped on the snow last year. But luckily, it doesn't seem to have set me back, and I managed to squat properly again today. Again, only body weight, TUT style, but it held out. I wasn't expecting it to be honest, the way it's felt most of the week. So that's positive. So I'll continue to try and build on that. And in general, yeah, fine. Just diet's not been best because I've been busy, but otherwise fine. I mean, I started work in the office at like 9:30, 10 o'clock yesterday morning, and I crawled out there at 9 o'clock last night. But that is pretty much what's going on in my world at the moment. Looking forward to the new computer system being up and running, because that's going to really make life easier. My wife will then manage like payments and my diaries and invoicing, and it will actually free up a huge amount of time for me, and I can get back on. I mean, I got an email yesterday to say that I haven't finished analysing the proposed training for GPs on steroids in the UK. Just haven't had time to do it. So I really need to sort of become super efficient if I'm going to drive this forward this year. Another thing as well, I've always been quite blunt and outspoken, especially online, particularly on social media, if I feel someone's talking shit. And I've ended up on several occasions dragging myself into a little bit of a stupid online tiff, which was pointless and worthless and non-productive. So I decided a little bit before Christmas that I'd start to pull away a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I'll still offer advice if it's requested. Quite happy to throw an opinion in there, but what I'm not going to be doing is getting overly involved when people put up bollocks. Most of the time it's clickbait. Most of the time they're trolling, or they're just doing it for effect or attention, or because they're trying to push their services, or they're trying to push themselves. And I just realized that I was wasting both time and energy on something that wasn't particularly productive. So I've sort of stopped, pulled away from that a little bit. I'm not commenting anywhere near as much. It just, it's so easy, I think, on social media to get sucked into a rabbit hole of bollocks and bullshit. And then before you realise, you've wasted an hour of your day arguing with some muppet about something that chances are they don't even believe in or think anyway. And they're just doing it for effect. There's been a bit of a, there's been a few just lately, and I've just left them to it. And I feel better for it, to be honest, because I'll be honest, there's some stuff I'm passionate about what I do, and obviously my opinion is my opinion. It doesn't make it right, but I believe it to be right. That's why it's my opinion. I formed that opinion because I think that's what's happening, or that's what's going on. It might not be correct, but in my knowledge as it stands, I believe it is. And it's not that I don't mind being wrong. I would rather learn. I like being challenged. I like my thought process to be challenged, because if it's challenged, it gives me an opportunity to learn. And if it's challenged and I still come back to the same thoughts at the end of it, then it means that original thought process was more likely to be correct. But obviously within this world of steroids and drugs and everything else, a lot of stuff is subjective and experience based, because we just don't have research to, categorically state one thing is one way or another. But what I also found was that it's very easy to get dragged into discussions that are completely and totally pointless. And there are people out there, and it seems to be a growing number, that literally make absurd comments to just be noticed. And quite often when people ask for advice, they actually don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the advice. They just want somebody to say what they're planning to do is okay, because they know deep down it's not. And then that shifts responsibility off them to the person that advised them. And, because I'm passionate about what I do, if I see someone getting bad advice, or I saw somebody potentially putting themselves at risk of causing themselves a problem, I'd get quite involved, but not just in the actual conversation, but emotionally involved with it. And that was counterproductive all round. So this year I've adapted a bit more of a, I'm more than willing to give anyone advice whenever I can, but I'll wait till I'm invited rather than go steaming in there with my opinion. So I've been a little bit more guarded and a little bit less interactive when it came to putting advice online and social media in particular, because I've just found it very unproductive for myself and quite often for the people involved. I am more than happy to give advice and try and help where I can. And at the end of the day, it's down to the individual whether they think that advice has merit or not. Because it's the best I know with the knowledge I have, but it doesn't mean it's right. And I've just taken a bit of a back step on that one. I've just found it, I've got better things, or more productive things would be a better way of putting it, and more constructive things to put my time in. I mean, I suppose in a way it's a bit hippie, sort of, I'm removing negativity and facing on the positivity. But there is something in that. There is something in that as well. Advices is plodding along quite nicely, which reminds me I need to speak to Scott to see if we're recording today. Brutal Muscle is developing quite nicely as well. That seems to be going from strength to strength. If you haven't checked it out, do so. It's early days, but that site's going to grow and become particularly strong. And right, I think that 16.5 minutes of me talking bollocks is more than enough for this week. So I'm going to rock and roll. I want some subjects to talk about, and I know I've asked this before, but I don't want subjects to talk about as in talk about this drug. I'd like more elongated topics with more scope. So, opinionated type topics, if you mind. I haven't talked about drugs for a while, and the simple reason is because it's just the same old shit. And there's shitloads of drugs profiles on my early videos, and most things have been covered. So let's get into something else. So I don't know. Let's see what you guys come up with. What sort of subjects that are more in depth, have more length that we can discuss, rather than should I take growth hormone in the morning or an evening? Because in my opinion, you shouldn't fucking take it at all. Okay. All right, guys. Take care, and I'll speak to you all soon.